What's up, guys? And we are back. I'm your host, Jonny Gomes, two-time World Series champ. And we have Eugene and Scott coming in for this pretty cool draft issue. The draft is one of the exciting times for Major League Baseball, high school baseball, JUCO baseball, and of course, college Division I. All right, let's dive right into Charlie Condon, who pretty much took the nation by storm this year. I mean, this guy's tipping the scales upwards of 6'6". I'm pretty sure he can play all over the diamond, 6-7 positions. Be real curious to see who takes him and what position he starts his pro career at. But there's one position that is non-negotiable, and that's hitter, right? This guy is absolutely a hitter. And when you got that, they'll find a spot for you on defense.
Yeah, when he shows up to the yard, he says, "Coach, I play 3 holes."
Yeah.
And then they find a spot for him.
We're talking about a 6'6 plus frame, right on right. Haven't seen power like this in a long time coming out of the collegiate level.
Yeah, he's really fun to watch, man. I've enjoyed watching him this season playing for West down in Georgia. The bat is definitely real. He definitely understands how to hit. I like watching him hit. The approach seems fairly advanced. There's no doubt that he's going to be a good player for I think, a long time.
Yeah, well, as we always say, we can't disclose specific numbers, but we can walk up to that line. When you produce like Charlie has, you have to ask the question, is this guy wired to see and process things at an elite human level? And I think it's a pretty safe conclusion. I mean, you just look at his production. You also look at the fact that he only strikes out 13% of the time in the SEC. He walks more than he strikes out. I mean, great plate discipline, high bat-to-ball rates. I mean, he's making decisions, and he's making pitchers pay because he's selective. And he doesn't swing and miss a lot. He doesn't chase a lot. All the signs that in addition to having the physical capability, he knows what he wants to do. He's able to execute and process at superhuman speeds. And that's a good blueprint for success as the game gets faster and more complicated at the next levels.
Yeah, 100%, Scott. I think that's really well said. And then I would even throw something out there because I haven't seen his scores, but something that's interesting to me that I just thought of now when you're talking about that. Like, there are other hitters out of college that I feel like they might move a little bit more efficient, which might leave them a little bit, cleaner path at the next level or what have you. But here's the thing. We fully understand that there's more to hitting, right? And hitting in 162 games over the course of a season against the best arms of the world. There's more to it than just moving clean, right? You have to have an understanding of a lot of different things, and as well as a supercomputer up top with great eyes. So, Scott, if you could talk to some of those things and maybe some interesting stuff that you've seen and that you maybe uncovered in your testing and data that speaks to some of that.
Yeah, no doubt. I think what you're driving at is that hitting, not surprising, is multifactorial.
Yeah.
There's a lot of components here, and how you process what your eyes see. The eyes bring information to the brain. The brain makes sense of what it is, where it's moving in space, translates that into a decision to act or not. And then there's systems that are responsible for shutting down your movement, for timing, initiating the timing. Timing to achieve optimal bat-to-ball contact is undoubtedly multifactorial. There's a mechanical piece, there's a mobility piece, but there's also a piece in the brain that sends that command that tells your body when to go. And if that's more variable, or that's prone to being out in front or late, that can be the bottleneck in the whole process. So you've got to have all components. Now, there's probably a point at which, no matter how good your brain is wired, you may not be able to compensate as effectively.
100%.
Yeah. And there's going to be physical advantages that compensate for a little bit of, some decision-making challenges or inconsistencies you might have. So you've got to look at all pieces of the puzzle. And I think you nailed it. This cognitive piece is just, now we're biased. It's an important piece. It's a critical piece, but it is really just one piece of the full equation. And there's different styles of hitters. There's different cognitive styles to hitters, just like there's different physical, different athletic styles to hitting. You got to look at it all.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, at the end of the day, when you're talking about a hitter, you're talking about grading someone over the duration of a season or a career, not a day in a cage or one game on a field, right? So what about strategies that the brain is using to delay the body's launch, to read the pitch, right? That there are a lot of hitters that when you watch the moves, they're not expressing a ton of force yet. They're just moving while they're reading, but they're not making a decision, right? So,
you're speaking our language. That ability to pause your motor system, delay it, hold it back to the right moment in time. I mean, we're talking a few tens of milliseconds is the difference between being out in front, just missing it. I mean, it is unbelievable what these professional athletes are able to accomplish in such small time scales. I mean, 10 1,000ths of a second.
How about being on time? Eugene, a guy I think you know a lot about, and that's Bryce Rayner, Team USA shortstop. Again, a big kid, a big body. I mean, this guy is obviously going to be a number one day. Can't see him dropping too far. Someone's going to be really lucky to get this cornerstone at shortstop. And what have you seen out of him in his young career?
Yeah, so I totally agree with what you said, man. And I've been a huge proponent of that for a long time. I've been watching this kid since he's 11 years old. I've never seen his heartbeat tick above what seems like 25. Jonny, this is the slowest heartbeat of any human being I've ever seen in my entire life. If you watch him in a gold medal game with the bases loaded and 20,000 fans in the stands, or you watch him on the mound getting called in the same, pressure doesn't exist for him. And he's been doing this at a high level on both sides of the ball. Like the moment that their class was able to be ranked, he was the best pitcher and he was the best hitter. That it's been like that now for years and years. I'm curious, what is your opinion on the two-way thing? And where's your head on that? Because I feel like this is a disservice to the athletes and the game.
Yeah, I think from going down to the amateur level, what I have noticed, and I've shared it, is the Ohtani effect. And the Ohtani effect is real. And there's a lot of kids, and I think from Jump Street, that want to do it. I don't think the want was there when I was coming up. I mean, a first overall pick that we watched, was Josh Hamilton, right? And Josh Hamilton could legit throw 97, 98, maybe 99 off the mound. But I don't think the want was there, right? He didn't want to pitch, so he's not going to pitch. But I think the want is there now for the youth. And I think that's one of the, I guess you said, dumbest things to do is take away the want, right? If this kid wants to do it, let's let him do it. And I'm not sure everyone has the answers, right? I think this is so cool about the game and how it's growing is we are going to learn on the fly. Scott, the cognitive way, right? We're going to have to get unique here, right? This guy's got two jobs, two different crafts. He better be wired different.
Yeah, you think of a guy like Austin Nola, who we know well, who played middle infield all the way up until AAA. And then, he's 25 or so, and he gets asked, hey, what do you think about playing catcher? And our own Paul Phillips was the one that converted him to a catcher. You got to have an incredible cognitive system, because that's not moving from short to second, which is hard enough, but moving behind the plate and then having to engineer and make decisions. Yeah. Flexible brains.
So Scott, let me ask you this question. So I've been watching Bryce since he's 11, and what I see on the outside is this incredibly calm, almost sleep-like state. what is it? And I know that because of all the cognitive testing that y'all do, what is it that you see in the testing that speaks to those things?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Couple things jump out. Control over your motor system, because you're in arguably one of the most extreme situations that human beings face, where you have to process and react in less than 4/10 of a second. And so the ability to control your motor system from being impulsive, from reacting prematurely, so there's a timing. You said reading as you're processing. Well, part of that ability to read something, to delay and give yourself that fractions of a second more time, is to be able to hold your system in check just for a few tens of milliseconds, so you can buy that extra little processing time to make the decision. That's what we call impulse control in our variable. It turns out to be one of the predictors, right? You can chase pitches for a lot of reasons, right? There's situational factors, there's mechanical factors, but there's also cognitive factors. You misjudge what pitch it is, you misjudge where it crosses a hitting zone, but you may see it perfectly. You may be dialed in and still chase because you have low impulse control. But that same impulse control system is what buys you that little extra time, that little extra breathing room to process and delay just for a few tens of milliseconds. That's the kind of system that I would expect Bryce to be operating at an incredibly high level. I think the other thing is what we call distraction control. Your ability to titrate and focus your attention and block out any interfering distractions, which can come from outside of you, can come from your internal monologue and distracting thoughts. It's not just directing your attention like we think about in terms of concentration, but it's your attention to action. It's the ability to focus your attention to link what you see to what you do, and protecting that perception action linkage. That's what we're talking about. My guess is that Bryce has this incredibility to just arrest these strong motor urges and to equip his attention system and direct his attention system where he is focusing on nothing else but seeing it and doing it.
God, that is just so good. That is just so good.
I tell you what, Blink. I tell you what, Scott. That was pretty awesome. I think we dove deep. And when you have the opportunity to dive deep into these amateurs and the way we talked about these guys, you would think they've already played in the big leagues, the way they're moving and the way they're ticking. So some organization is going to be really happy to get these players. Again, with S2 Cognition, it's time. Thank you both for your time. And let's do it again. Let's see what happens after this draft.